Are you looking for valuable business advice to reach that 7-figure revenue mark? Do you want actionable tips to properly navigate through every business challenge you encounter along the way? Let Tersh Blissett and Josh Crouch be your guide in getting you to the top here at Service Business Mastery. Tune in as they sit down with world-renowned authors in business, leadership, and personal growth who share valuable insights about management, marketing, pricing, human resources, and so much more. Let their nuggets of wisdom gold guide you in owning a thriving, profitable, and ever-growing business. Here are your hosts, Tersh and Josh.
Today's episode is powered by Xero Systems.
Xero is all about removing the clutter and unnecessary touch points to run your home service business profitably.
They use AI dispatching to get the right tech to the right call automatically and job time efficiency to ensure your entire team runs like a profit-generating machine.
Get a tech upgrade for your business at get.xero.tech/service-business-mastery.
Hello, everyone out there in podcast world. Hope you all are having a great day at AHR 2024 here in nice and warm Chicago.
It's balmy.
It's a balmy, freezing, like negative 700 degrees with sleet and snow.
Balmy sea.
Yeah. So on today's podcast, we are live here at the Podcast Pavilion, number 1 or A. They changed
number A.
Number A. They changed it up on us this year. So we never, I don't say never, we don't talk about family life a lot on the podcast. We talk a lot about the business side of things, and that's kind of what our go-to thing is business and how to run a more efficient business. But if home life is not on the up and up, then business can't work. But then if you have struggles with home life, but then your spouse also works with you in your office, then that's even more of a struggle.
And you're together 16 hours a day.
At least 16 hours a day. So funny story, Julie and I would get up, we wake up out of the same bed, just for those of you wondering, and then
I was going to ask.
Take a quick shower, most of the times separate, sometimes not, and then
this is going to be spicy.
Then we end up walking down the hallway and walking into our...
Do you walk down the hall together?
No.
Yes.
We
model together.
And then into our office together. So there's lots of days where we're together 24 hours a day doing work. So
anyway, the point being, when you're working with your spouse, you have to be able to work together and coordinate things together. And we still have children to take care of, but we also have a business to run or multiple businesses to run.
And y'all work together too, Josh. Oh, actually, first let's introduce our spouses.
Introduction.
Josh.
Well, you want me to do the introduction? Should I get introduce yourself? Okay. Well, Brittany is my wife, and we've been together 11 years. And honestly, we've been working together since we were back in the trades. She was a hairdresser for a number of years, and she had great people skills, and I thought she'd be fantastic at sales, which she was. And we've been kind of working together almost ever since. So like 2017, 2018, something like that. So.
Say hey, Brittany.
Hello.
And Julie is my wife. For those of you who watched or heard the podcast, I've talked about Julie before multiple times, but she was a nurse for years and years. We've been together for 12 years, coming up on 12 years. And she was a nurse and then came to work in the office full-time in 2020 and during COVID, right? 2020, 2021.
Yeah, and I promise this isn't like a dating show. We're like testing them. It's just kind of entertaining to see if they can actually give our background.
We had to think about it.
Yeah, really did. But it's not always roses whenever it comes time to work together with spouses. And there's like some people you talk to and they're like, oh, that'll never work. And then there's other people that are like, I wouldn't do it any other way. So what's y'all's take on that?
I
I can start. I believe communication is so important when it comes to working with your spouse. So, you have one person that has what they're really good at and the other person. So you guys need to have your separate things that you are really good at where you're not kind of crossing over. So keeping it separate works really, really well. Like Josh said, we've been working together for such a long time that we know what each other's skill sets are. So it works really well together. I hear people all the time tell me, I don't know how you do it. I can never work with my spouse. Like, we fight all the time. They just can't do it. But then there's other people that do it really well together and they wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's the talker in that relationship.
She does sales, so she is a talker, which is ironic, right? Because we're on a podcast together.
Right. I think we do the podcast to force ourselves to talk.
Sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes it's been a good opportunity to force yourself to do something you're
introverts, married to two extroverts.
That's what works so well. It's because we're so different in that way that we're not overpowering one another.
I mean, even when we've done some joint sales calls for bigger accounts and stuff like that, we know, kind of like we know,
yeah,
when we're talking on stage together and stuff, we know when the other one's going to talk. It's just kind of that partnership where I know when she's got something to say, so I'll back off, and then she knows when I have something to say, or the question gets asked, and we know exactly who the right person is to answer.
How'd y'all figure that out?
Trial and error.
No. That was so natural. Like, we would finish each other's sentences.
Yeah.
Since the beginning.
Or she tells me to shut up. Or she'll text me during the meeting or Slack me and be like, shut up, I'm talking.
I'll be like, you're just going on and on and on, and people don't even care what you're talking about. Just get to the point all the time.
Well, and that's relatable to a lot of you in the crowd. I think that along the networking in the business world, a lot of you opening up your own HVAC companies, service companies, when you're starting out, the wife kind of really needs to be involved, because if not, you may be butting heads on a level of grind and the level of
time
amount of time that it takes to actually run the show and grow your business. And I've just met a lot of wives in the industry, and they are really impressed that Tersh and I can manage. They don't really see behind the scenes.
Yeah, like when she throws my coffee at me in the morning.
I haven't seen that one on StreamYard yet.
No, I definitely set it back for women's rights 50 years and make him coffee and bring it to him and make him
Sometimes she slams it down on my desk, though. That's how I know when she's serious. That's a serious day.
So
I'm not the one that wakes up and chooses violence, or I call him a rattlesnake, because we live in South Georgia. But
I do that.
But the bigger point that I was just trying to make is knowing where your lane is when you're a spouse.
Yeah, know your lane and stay in it.
Wait, hang on. Let me ask
Your lane.
Guys, let me ask real quick.
I'm going to get slapped.
Not in public. I'll do this afternoon.
Ornery. I totally understand the dry sense of humor. None of that bothers me.
Okay, we got to say what's really, really important that we're all thinking, but I'm going to say it.
Okay.
Is when two spouses work together, without the women there, you guys would not be where you are today.
Oh, yeah. She's right, though.
She's not.
She's not wrong. There's so much stuff that I'm like, yeah, screw that. And she's like, nope, we got to do it. It's got to be done. I'm like, yeah, but what really would happen if we didn't do it? It's like, it's got to be done. And I'm like, right. Because then she'll be scolding me.
Well, I'm not
That's so true.
that you have to work with your spouse for your company to be successful, but everybody listening in the audience, I feel like if we took a poll, if your spouse was committed to your dream and found what was important to you, important to them, and lived their life like that, and y'all hustled together for success, then that is actually what would drive the business that much further. Because if you're going to bump heads with the person that you have to sleep with all the time, business or in your family life, I just don't see much success.
So,
there.
Okay, so it's so easy for us. Julie knows what I'm going to ask, so I'm going to ask y'all first. It's so easy for you as a spouse to just never turn it off. Everywhere you go, you're talking work. You go to dinner, out to eat, you're talking work. You're at kids' soccer games, you're talking work. You're laying in bed and you're talking work. And then he touches your foot and you're like, oh yeah, this bill needs to be paid. And you're like, okay, never mind. Like, how does that not happen with you? Or does it?
So that's a great question. So
I know it's a great question. I do podcasts.
Here all week.
We're there all week.
Two sides of it. One being, yes, most of every day we talk about work. We do try to say, okay, at this time we're going to stop talking about work. Or if we're on a date night, there's no talking about work. But in reality, it kind of bleeds into there. But I think that more or less comes from the passion that we have for our business, that we really care about it. And, you know, we care about our people, that we just want to keep making everything better and better. So we always have things to talk about. But I do believe that there are certain times that we have to shut it off and, you know, focus on family time or other things in life.
I think that comes with self-awareness. Since we moved, we take walks at night, as you guys know. And I think I mentioned that a few times.
The whole world probably knows.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably all.
Well, now they do.
All three people that are sitting in the audience over here.
No, they do.
But there's times when we'll get talking about work. You know, we just had one of these a week or two ago where it's like, okay, I legitimately asked a question to change the topic so we could talk about something else, and having that self-awareness that it's not always okay to talk about work. Like, let's talk about the kids. Let's talk about
it is okay to not talk about work.
Yeah, to have that split and be like, it's okay. The business will still be there. The challenges that will still be there, but it's okay to talk about something else. Talk about some dreams and goals outside of business goals and dreams.
Yeah, we have a work planning and then like a life and family kind of planning.
It's complicated because there are times where you're just like, yes, but if work did this, then personal life could do that. And,
yes, it's very
I think that one of the greatest things for us is the fact that once we got into a role of multiple businesses, then it was no longer talking about just X business would support X, Y, and Z. Now it's like, okay, as a business owner, we need to do all of these things. And then it's more like life goals. Okay, should we start another business to do this, or should we do like spin off of this business? Hey, what are you doing? You taking a selfie? I'm in the middle of talking about something important.
I'm used to like ain't selfie.
I'm breaking it up. You know, I feel like
right. Anywho, well, one of the things. So we have a life coach, or we've had two life coaches for a long time. They're a spouse, and which is great because like there's a female and male there, and that we're female and male, and so
are you?
It's kind of like
never mind. No, I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to leave it there.
Anywho, so one of the things that they told us was that we were pushing ourselves way too far. This a while back, and we were.
Can I share the analogy?
Sure.
Okay. The analogy, seriously, in all seriousness, the life coaches that we have, they were such a great fit because the one is a pastor, but he also has a business degree, and he would align really well with this type of individual man. And the other one, the female side of it, they have children, and so we just were a great fit. The analogy that they gave us that I just can't not relate to, and I think about it every time I say yes to something, because we say yes to a lot of things and our servitude and who we are, we just do that. But the analogy was where you stretch a rubber band and you're able to go this far, and then you kind of come back to normal and you reconnect and everything's good, but you just keep doing that and you see like how far you can go, and either individually or separately or together, however. But
you just try and put a little bit more and a little bit more, and you stick it in, like you just stretch it out a little bit more. Yeah, we can stick that at 4 p.m. on Tuesday, even though we have something at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, and you know you can hit it in a little bit more. Well, and it's either going to it's going to stretch and snap.
Today's episode is brought to you by one of our show partners, UpFrog.
UpFrog is the OG when it comes to pricing transparency online. They find system replacement leads through paid ads and have developed an entire system to drive those hard-to-find system replacement opportunities, nurture the leads, and book them into sold systems before your team arrives to help you grow your business.
Learn more at upfrog.io.
Which ultimately is divorce, or you take and start saying no to everything, but then you have a rubber band that's stretched out, and the only way to get it back is heat. That's the only, and that heat is is a tough conversation, and really saying about the heat. It's saying no to people when you're uncomfortable and you want to say yes. That's that heat, and so changing that whole mindset there, and you can keep pushing and just snap in half.
Yeah, the description though was brittle. The word that they used was brittle, and brittle being that the rubber band, an old rubber band, you mess with it after it's been sitting around or like really used up a lot, it's brittle and it can break. And the brittle component of that analogy really rings heavy to how far we push. And Tersh didn't really get to give my whole background because I kind of interrupted him, but to put it in perspective, we lost my dad to leukemia, and we joined the executive board for the Leukemia Society, and we were on the Georgia Police Canine Foundation executive board, and we did nonprofit things for Ronald McDonald House. We have 4 children that are 9, 10, 13, and 15.
Play travel soccer.
I'm a cardiac nurse, and I'm in the Air Force National Guard, and Tersh has...
So I was the president of the Small Business Chamber.
You see, we're way too brittle. Well, the life coaches,
they're like, yeah, you got to stop.
Straightened us out. And now we are really successfully running companies and being able to be parents.
I'll tell you one other thing.
Take good care of ourselves and our relationship.
That they told us to do, that we had to do, was do not allow work to cross the threshold of your bedroom. As soon as you walk into your bedroom, work does not work does not cross that threshold. So like you want to do a Zoom call and she's on a phone call and she talks real loud, like real loud. So I can't be in her office doing a Zoom call. I ain't going to the bedroom to do a Zoom call because I can't cross the threshold. I'll get zapped.
There are little things that like come up when we're getting ready in the morning and I'm like, oh, remind me when we get to the office, I need to tell you something. Or I'll be like, hey Siri, remind me at this time to remind him at this time. Like, so we've really been intentional. And I think that that's something for us as a couple, and we'll maybe pass it off to y'all. Just we joke a little bit about PG-13 and in the bedroom stuff, but how do you keep romance when you're constantly...
Oh, we talking romance.
And we're going on that. I'm not thinking about work or in the bedroom. That is the last thing I'm thinking about.
You're thinking about that last sales call, I'm sure.
Work is very important to me, but my family comes before anything. So when we're there, that is gone. And kind of to what you guys were talking about and not saying no, we're kind of the opposite. I'm always believed in, number one, you have to be happy yourself before you could be a good mother, friend, whatever you are, business partner. So making time for yourself is super important. Then when it comes to your business comes. After that, you can go as far as you want to saying yes. But I've taught Josh over, the last couple of years, it's okay to say no. Like, it's okay. He always wanted to say yes, yes, yes. And I was like, but it is okay to say no. And so many people have a hard time saying no. But saying no is not a bad thing at all. And when people realize that, I feel like it makes your life a lot better because you get to you breathe. You don't have this heavy weight on your shoulder by always saying yes.
So we had to learn that.
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I think it's all about being intentional. The last year, we're on our second year now where we started working out together. We're very intentional about putting this on our calendar, and at 9 o'clock on Monday, 10 o'clock on Wednesday, as Tersh knows, because we can't schedule podcast recordings at that time.
Y'all got to change that date.
No.
Thursday.
I can't change it. Literally, we won't change it. At 9 o'clock on Friday mornings, that's our break. So we work in the morning, get the kids up, work, take a break. That's like our mental break. We work out together with the same trainer. It's a chance for us to refresh for the day. Because otherwise, if we just work from 6 to whatever time at night and that don't stop,
you could do
you're gonna have a mental breakdown, and your relationship's gonna go south because all the stress and everything else that comes with owning the business. And so for us, that's our break. And then honestly, because of the nice weather, we're able to take, if we're both feeling like stressed that day, it's like quick 20-minute walk and just like completely talk about something else and just to get out of the zone just a second and breathe.
I was gonna ask you, what do you do when one of you is a rattlesnake?
Well, if I'm being honest, it's really only Josh. No, I'm serious. Like,
she's not wrong there either.
I don't.
She's very calm.
I don't get stressed out.
Okay.
Things don't bother me to that point. I've learned how to manage that stuff. Like, it doesn't get to me. You know, life is so short, and I really believe that you have to enjoy every moment and not get the little things stressing you out.
Well, so y'all have a very stressful situation, and I will not go into any sort of detail about anything. But y'all have something very stressful going on right now. How are y'all handling that? Because I could see you. I know how stressed out this guy is. But I mean, I can see I don't see a negative whenever I see you, like even the other day when we first got to see each other in person again. But I could still sense that you had some frustration, but
what did you call it? Bold and humble, girl?
Oh, I said I am very bold, but yet humble. Yeah. I am very bold, but I'm
passionate and assertive.
Yeah.
That's
and I'm bold yet humble. Yeah. So when things like that happen, life isn't going to be perfect. You're going to have all sorts of issues all the time. And I've learned that, you know, from all of us, childhood up, we all have issues. It's how you deal with them. So like the issue that we're doing right now is I don't stress out about it because I take whatever steps are necessary, but I can't change the outcome. I can't change what people do. So I can only control how I feel and how I handle it. Stressing out about it is not going to help me. It's not going to make something go away. So why let it get to you? And there's different techniques that you can do to stay calm, other things to think about.
Well, and you say it so eloquently, but I can just tell you from, obviously, everybody in this audience and ourselves, we all come from different walks of life and have had very different perspectives on how to problem solve or move forward through things. And
sometimes you just want to sling something at a wall.
Okay. That's me.
I'm just kidding.
Some days you just want to choose violence.
Honestly,
I wake up every morning.
A lot of things we do as adults come from our childhood. So it's like our inner child that's in our stomach that gives us these different feelings that makes us react certain ways.
Okay.
So like if you have a good word to use is traumatic experiences, everyone will say, well, I had this happen, but it wasn't traumatic. But to you, it might have been traumatic. To someone else, it might not be.
Yeah, it's a trauma bond relationship.
So a lot of it goes back to your inner child and how you react now, but it's definitely learning steps on how to cope with stress or other things that are going on.
Well, to piggyback off of that, though, we actually just learned this not too long ago. There was 2 30-year-olds that one is in Forbes magazine and the other one is in prison.
Yeah.
Literally the same parents, the same upbringing, and they're twins.
Yeah.
And the interview with them was the same questions and why they are in the position that they're in. So one is super successful and lives the way he does, and the other one is in prison for all of his choices and you know, just not doing well, whatever. Well, the answers were literally the same.
Like, how'd you end up here?
How did you end up here? Because of this, my parents were this.
They're strict, and they held me to all these standards.
These types of schools, and we made this type of money. And
like, how could I not end up here?
Yeah, exactly.
Both of them said the exact same thing. How could I not?
Really wild.
Yeah, and
completely opposite ends of the spectrum.
Although it's the perception of the person that is having everything happen to them.
If you're enjoying this content and this episode in particular, please go ahead and whatever program you're on, whether it's Spotify, Apple, YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to that channel and then leave us a review when you get a chance. We'd love to hear your feedback on the content if it's been valuable for you. That stuff helps us really create better content and get better guests and also grow the podcast. So we really appreciate your support. Now back to your episode.
Yeah, and working through things. And with that being said, if you work with somebody that you have to be close with, your spouse, your loved one, a family member, what have you, I think it's just important to learn a little bit about what works for them to work through things and not have the expectation, like don't put your own expectation on how that they should feel and work through things.
Yeah, I think that's where we struggled in the past, was how I would react to something or how I would feel about a situation isn't the same way you'd feel about a situation. So I would say something and I'm like, I don't understand why you're upset. And then you'd be like,
that's usually her reaction.
However, though, I perceived it like this.
And that's the thing is you guys will be like, well, I don't know why you would get mad about that because that's not something that you would get mad about. But it's all how you perceive things.
I think it's the more we learn each other.
I mean, that's intentionality. Like,
That's a tough.
these entrepreneurs, though, I think that that's something to not only learn about who you work with as your spouse. Your spouse has to be able to support you. You're going to have a really rough time being an entrepreneur, being on 24/7, 365 to really take care of your team and their families. But your own family is going to struggle, I feel like, if you didn't have the backbone of the person that you're living with all the time.
Yeah, and I think the other problem too, like with spouses, is men in particular, they have a hard time expressing their feelings. Some, not all, but a majority of men, they don't want to talk about their feelings, so they'll hide it.
Or at least this one.
They want to feel like, that they're the man, that they have to do everything to support the family, but that's not the way that it is. I mean, we're 2024 now, like times have changed. One thing that I would, challenge men to do is talk about their feelings with their spouse. Actually sit down. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's like 21 questions with your spouse, and you get to really deep down and learn about your spouse. Questions that you probably wouldn't think about asking. Josh and I did it after a conference. We drove home. And
that was the one in Orlando.
Yeah.
I told you I was going to another conference.
And it was amazing. Like, Josh and I are super close already, but I mean, it brought a different level of closeness to us because you really learn about that person.
Oh, yeah.
Men opening up more, and some women have a hard time opening up too, will really make your relationship that much stronger and be able to work with your spouse successfully.
I agree with that, but I also want to preface that the wife or whatever needs to be open and receptive to what they hear.
You're absolutely right.
Why are you laughing, Julie?
Because we've talked about this before. Like it's very much, it's very true because
I think it's so nonchalant. Like, I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't know what he's talking about. It's one of those things where there's a couple of psychologists that I follow in depth a lot, and psychiatrists, and they're very women focused on things on helping improve the life of ladies, and they were, and then they had one in particular had a male come up after a conference and say, "Hey, everything that you're saying is great, but you don't focus on men in your studies at all." And she was like, "Yeah, it's kind of on purpose. I focus on the ladies." And he was like, "Well, if I do what you're saying, if I'm vulnerable like you say, the ladies in my life would write me off instantly. They wouldn't see me as the man of the house." And so she started going into a lot of studies on that, and found that to be true in certain situations. But so she had to pivot the way she was teaching things, because there's so many times where the man of the house is put up on a pedestal, and we can't fail. If we do, then
we carry that weight around.
Yeah, well, silently.
Something that I realized, to piggyback off of what you just shared, is that whenever I'm hurt and you get so frustrated that I'm hurt about whatever it is that it may be, the way that I share it comes across as that you did this to me, or that because you didn't do this, or however the situation may be, you're actually not frustrated at me. You're frustrated because the situation didn't go the way that maybe it could have, to lift me up differently or to support whatever it may be. So it was just you didn't fail, but you felt like you failed me.
Right. Yeah.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
It is. Yeah.
It's very tough, especially if you're used to, you've gotten your point to where you can make your family successful, and if something doesn't go right, or someone's challenging that, kind of to your point, like someone's challenging that for us, and it's a very stressful, traumatic experience, and it's difficult to handle. And that's where that bond that we have, where I can share openly, has helped me, because she's much calmer.
Right.
You know that, and it allows me to vent in a way that's healthy, and she can absorb. And
so Facebook venting isn't healthy?
No, it's not.
I don't know. I thought it was a good idea.
Apparently, that's not a good idea.
But I think the biggest problem is that you guys as men, I get it. Like, you want to provide for your family.
Yeah.
But I also believe it, it's 50-50 in whatever way that you guys are there to support one another.
Yeah.
So for you guys to carry that weight on your back.
Well, it's not fair, but it's natural.
It does feel a little natural. Like it is somehow like ingrained in the way that
we were raised.
It's from the caveman days and Vikings and hoorah, like I'm a man. And Tersh is prior TACP in the Air Force, so he's a combat dude. Like I know him through and through, and I would say that I'm okay with him being a man. I also need him though to hear me.
That you're a lady.
Of being like no, I don't mean like a man like genetics. I know like a man, like.
Man.
Last time I met him and he was wearing greasy blue jeans and had car tattoo on it.
No, you can't tell people that.
I was wearing blue jeans.
He was, and a t-shirt, for those of you that don't know.
I know you guys are laughing, y'all, because we don't believe it, right?
Yeah.
Now with the way he dresses now.
No, so I think, though, the softer side of him, I do say it was from our 9-year-old daughter back when she was born is kind of the turning point of some of the softness. However, all of the life coaching and then the working together and getting to know each other better, that has really helped. But everybody still is going to have their own quirks. I don't expect him to be sensitive. I don't want him to cry or open up to me. I don't want that. Like, I don't need that. But just to acknowledge.
What if he needs it?
No, and he knows that I'm a safe person to be vulnerable for.
Yeah.
Like, be vulnerable with. If he cried, I would hold him so big. Just like, I'm like, hey. But it's not going to happen. Like, and
he cries on camera.
I do.
He chokes up. If I see the glisten in his eye, like, I know, okay, this is really impactful for him and whatever it may be, and it means something. Like, I mean, even last night when you accepted that award for
Shut the hell up.
Best Podcast of the Year
For
for the HVAC Tactical Awards. No, but for real, both guys gave their speech and completely, genuinely thanked me. I immediately choked up because the choke up in his voice was so genuine. And that's what I think, like, learning each other as spouses and working together that way is actually what makes it important. So for you to be vulnerable and learn each other's quirks, I mean, I think that's because it can't always work. Every situation's different.
Yes. So here's my one thing. So because I
one.
Yeah, just one. Because I really like the psychology of people. I really, really enjoy it. I enjoy helping people and making sure people live the best life that they can. So I just have a question for you, Tersh. So Julie said that you don't want to be vulnerable. Is there a reason why?
No, it's not necessarily that I don't want to be vulnerable.
Like this.
It's the way that I show my vulnerability. Like, I if you see me cry, like I probably blew a limb off. Like, it's just not.
He blew something up in his hand and he didn't cry. He wrapped it up in my
okay.
Yeah. So that's just not how I express my feelings. My thing is, if I am very passionate about something, if I keep repeating it, and because I'm not a repeater, so like for real, if I say something like 3 times,
huge pet peeve. Yeah,
I'm very passionate about it.
Okay.
And so like, I wouldn't cry about a situation like that. I would just be very.
Okay. I don't just mean crying. Just like if you have like this big weight on your shoulder, something that's bothering you.
I wouldn't get it to that point. I would
talk about it before then.
Yeah. Okay. I would open up, but well before that.
Okay, that was a question.
Yeah.
I'm not crying to that
vulnerable, but in a different way.
Right.
Okay. I was just kidding.
Well, this has been fun.
So okay, last question that I have for both of you, because I really want to invite Nicole up on the stage too, and to do it again, to start over from scratch. Would you do it the exact same way, or would you recommend other spouses work together?
I would not change one thing about what we started from to where we are now. Not one thing.
No, I love the journey we took from the time that
I wasn't asking you.
Well, okay.
Just kidding.
I think the best.
They have a relationship, obviously.
I think the best advice about working with your spouse is being open and honest. I think if you're open and honest, you're going to get so much further in life as your business grows, because you can talk about how you feel, where you want to go. I mean, even in your marriage, without business, is being open and honest is just super important.
that kind of plays into any partnership, right? Like, obviously, I mean, the ladies help us a ton with the podcast that not a lot of people see with promotion and just a lot of stuff behind the scenes. But even when Tersh, like, we did a breakout earlier today, and just looking at, like, there's cues, like, you need to know, but we know each other well enough to know, like, even on a live stream, we can tell just the look in your face, like, okay, you take the, like, just kind of like hate it off. You tag in.
I'm done with this one.
Julie and I laugh all the time because we say that you guys are like a married couple all the time.
We've known each other for a long time now. And it's been great. How about you?
Well, hello there. This episode is brought to you by CallRail.
Ever wonder where all your customers are coming from? CallRail makes it super easy to track your marketing and figure out what's working and what's not.
Plus, they transcribe and analyze your call center's performance using AI.
Boost your marketing and call center performance by visiting callrail.com/SBM pod.
What was the question?
Oh, yeah. She's going to be silent. That means, she would change it.
I should want to know. I wouldn't change anything because I feel like where we're at and where our future will be is all of the steps along the way have gotten us to the dynamic that we are. And I really try not to live in the past and look back and reflect on, well, would I have done anything differently? Because my focus, and like you have kind of ingrained in me, is to look to the future. So everything that I do right now will be because I have this expectation for our life in the future. However, my father once told me that, Julianne, do not plan out. Like, you can set all the goals and expectations you want of yourself, but do not plan the results. Like, be okay completely to live in the gain, if you will. The Gap in the Gain, it's a book. If you haven't read it, it's incredible. But the gain part of it is, if I ever reflect to where I came from, I am always doing really, really well. Because I am from the Appalachia of southeastern Ohio, and there is nothing that in my life right now, like, looks like $1 million. I mean, in a handbag, like, just such a good life. And I have to be.
Nobody understood anything. Just said
it was the Appalachia part.
She said Appalachian.
Worse or crit. Like, I didn't do any of it.
I'll tell you, I would change some things. I would have bought a Corvette last year, probably maybe 2 years ago.
I thought that was on your to-do list.
It is, but I mean, that's what I changed. 2 years ago, I bought it. So this year, that's it. All right.
Punch up.
Well, I'm tapping him.
He's telling me to
Thank you for having us on the show.
No,
It's been fun.
we have a really special guest coming up right after us. She was
Beautiful
super busy. Yeah. We're kind of doing a time filler, but honestly, I can say that the times that I've been on the show, Tersh and I have done a little bit of content together over some mental health stuff and working together with your spouse. The most reactions I feel like that we've ever gotten, like, there are emails from Australia that I'll never forget. There are people that reach out and just say, hey, it is so cool that you work with your spouse and they ask for tips and want to talk about it, because if you do work with a spouse or a loved one, it's just not always easy.
What's a fair tip at that point? Like 10%?
No. Listen, I'm looking for a different type of tip.
All right. Okay. PG-13.
Okay. Thank y'all.
All right, Miss Nicole. You ready? We're ready to have you up here.
Good job.
Oh. Let's see.
Hey there. You might want to pull your microphone a little closer to you. The previous chair sitter there is loud. Yeah, so she was loud.
That is Alan.
Hey there.
Well, glad to have you on.
Thank you.
It's exciting.
Thanks for bringing me on. I see you've been at my snack bar with your jelly bean cup.
You brought those just for Tersh, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I was going to grab server.
He gets all the special requests.
It's wonderful. So, tell us about you've never been on the podcast before, haven't you?
I don't think so.
I feel like we talked about it the last couple of years. We talked about, like, hey, we should get Nicole on here. You're always running around like this crazy person.
You are running around.
I'm very happy to be here, though. I'll be on it again.
Yeah. So, tell us about your role in everything that happens here, because it's a lot of people don't understand how much stuff you do.
Well, my current role at this very second is to be doing your podcast as the marketing director.
But I do a lot of things, actually. My official role is the marketing director with AHR Expo. So that encompasses working with our media members, such as yourselves. Make sure you're comfortable and happy and informed about what's going on with the show. Working with our exhibitors and our attendees to talk about what's happening in the industry so that when we go to put the show together and we put our education programming together, we have topics, subjects, trends, everything that you would need to be successful in the year ahead, because we obviously want the show to be more than valuable for you as you go back into your job roles when you leave here. So I do that. I work with setting up some of our accommodation for the event planning, trying to make your trips into the cities that we come to.
Oh, yeah.
We've got, a lot of things to consider: the hotels, the infrastructure of the city, making sure we've got some good spots for restaurants and, cabs and taxis and all those things that we need to think about so that you guys don't have to think about them when you're here on the ground. So beyond that, there's probably about 100 billion other little things that I do. I do a lot of this branding and content writing and working with Podcast Pavilion, make sure you guys are set up and have everything you need.
Well, and you got to deal with all the personalities of the podcasters, too.
Oh, yeah.
That's my favorite part.
Right. Depends on
you don't have to lie.
No, I love it. You guys are great.
So tell us a story behind, this whole area here. Because
Podcast Pavilion?
Well, yeah, the Podcast Pavilion and just being able to hang out and everything.
Yeah, sure. Well, we had started paying attention to podcasts probably about the time where they really started blowing up in the industry. I was watching Tersh, what he was doing out there. He was actually one of the first people that I had noticed.
He's hard to miss.
2019, we were in Atlanta, and he came.
Was it 2019?
Yeah.
Wow.
He came rushing into my press room, and he had this backpack on and a camera that was hanging over the top of his head, and
I wouldn't do something like that.
All of his equipment. And he was in a rush, and he was very busy, and a lot of people were wanting to meet with him. And I said, what the heck is going on here? And, I had some time to talk to him in the press room, and he said, I've got a podcast. I run this channel. I've got some things going on social media. And he said, well, we're kind of looking to give a platform to that, because we give platform to media members. Obviously, you have print publications, you've got websites, blogs, etc.
I didn't know that podcasting was a media at that time.
Yeah, well, we were looking at it as such, and we were seeing the value in it, because some of the stories that were being told through the podcast platform were, it was different. It was a different take. It was reporting on the industry in a different way. It was quick service, quick content. You could get, directly information from a manufacturer or from, a contractor or an engineer, what have you, and real-time updates. So, we wanted to make sure that everyone at the show has a place to be represented. So when we came out of 19, we were looking at 2020, and we said, okay, let's build this pavilion, and let's see if there's interest. Let's see what people think. Let's see who we can get, blocked in here. I reached out to you guys, and you were game to do it. I had Brian Orr, who was happy to come on board. We had Brent Ridley with Tool Pro. Unfortunately, he broke his ankle that year. It didn't make it. We had Gil, which was a recommendation of you.
Yeah.
And it was great. People loved it, and I think it just added a different element to the show that maybe hadn't, been front and center before. And people were able to walk away with some information. They're mining it on the floor, but they were having a different viewpoint, a different take, because you guys were putting out so many different perspectives.
Oh yeah,
So
it was a ton of content out. It was because we were right at the entrance. I mean, similar to this here, and so it's like people were walking past us, and they're like, "What is that?
What is a podcast?
What is a podcast?"
I said that 3-4 years ago. That's probably what it was. Like, what are podcasts?
Well, cut to now, and I always joke that I need my own hall for podcast.
Yeah, right.
I am so many people, and I don't want to turn around anybody, because I think anyone who has a place in this industry and has a perspective that's validated, I want to give platform to that. But we keep it small. You guys come in. It's such a great job that you guys do. We are back in Orlando next year.
Yeah, that sounds really nice about right now.
Right. Oh God, yeah, it's wonderful.
Well, you're from Connecticut, so.
Well, I'm telling you, the cold bite's different here, so I'm gonna agree with you there. But it's nice in here.
Yeah, it is. It's wonderful in here.
Yeah.
It's always great to hang out with everybody and podcasting. I never thought podcasting would be what it is today, and it's weird because it's really cool to hang out with everybody that listens to the show. And have people come up and say, hey, I listened to the show and I like this part. I didn't like this episode. I have questions about that. I'm like, oh, okay.
I thought everyone loved all our episodes.
Yeah.
That's what you tell me.
The feedback.
Only the ones that like is just you. They're like, I hated that episode.
You're like, wait, I thought I was just talking into a mirror the whole time.
Don't tell Billy Stevens.
Real people.
On at 5. Just me.
Oh, there's real people out there. No, it really has, and it's exploded, as you guys know. And I think it's been a really important and valuable asset to the industry because it's just, we're always talking about workforce recruitment. We're always talking about bringing in people to our industry, showing them that our industry has such potential. You can build a lifelong career. You can build a successful career. You can pivot in your career. You can come from another career, and you hear that, and I work in marketing, and there's so much push messaging that goes out there. But when you guys have real, genuine, and authentic conversations with people who have done this, or they're currently doing it, and someone who's listening, or, multiple someones who are out there listening can hear that story, and they can hear themselves kind of in that story, I think it's just amazing. And it gives them an inside preview of just what they might experience, or what success they could experience in the industry, or even just how to start, where to start, who should I talk to, how should I talk to people. One of the things we talk about so much in our industry is there's a lot of confusion and miscommunication about where to actually find information sharing. Topics that come down. We've got so many regulation changes happening so quickly. Equipment updates, all kinds of things. And, a lot of people are looking for, well, where are we supposed to get this? Do we get it from the manufacturers? Do we get it from the associations? Are we getting it from the media? Are we getting it from the government? How do I find out how to do my job? And, just adding another platform for people to talk about those things and to share the information and to give guidance and just advice without asking anything in return has just been so valuable to the industry.
Yeah, it's great. We were actually able to talk to Chris Forth this morning with JCI, always full of knowledge.
And he keeps us up to date, literally almost to the minute of what's going on with Congress and DOE and the refrigerant.
You have, as a professional in this industry, you have a direct line. Chris works at Johnson Controls. Yes, of course.
VP at Johnson Controls.
Right.
Like 5 years ago, Chris would have never given me the time of day to talk.
That speaks to the value of what you guys are doing.
Right, it's wild.
It's so important to be able to share that communication chain and to bridge the information sharing here between, what's happening on the exhibitor floor, what's happening in manufacturers, and what's happening out in the application of products and tech. And I think that's a brilliant example. And, Chris ran an education session in our panel series this morning, where he just took one region of the country and talked about the updates. And, we had enough information on refrigerant updates and, A2Ls and other things coming out. We broke it into 3 different sections just because there was so much to cover by region in North America. And that information, direct to the audience is, that's a hole that I think was gaping for so long. And to have you guys swoop in and, it's quick turnaround. You're not waiting 6 months. You can get it out in the week. It's timely. And that's great.
Yeah, and the information goes to the people who actually need it because there's so many barriers between someone like him and getting it to the endpoint.
Exactly.
And the person delivering the endpoint message may not be super entertaining. Like when we're in school,
what are you trying to say? You super entertaining?
No, I'm not saying me. I'm just saying.
Talking brochure material.
I'm saying like in middle school, they bring those videos out to try to subject.
Yeah.
God, hey, that video was made 30 years ago. That's terrible. Now we can bring it up to date, up to speed, and then obviously, and because of the podcasting communities, the resources are shared. Like if we have a great guest, we share it with someone else who has a different audience, and they can kind of take that message to the wherever that their audience lives, and it can grow really quick.
One of the things that I found to be so encouraging about the podcast community in particular is the fact that it is a real community. I mean, I see these guys and gals in the press room. I talk to them throughout the year, and the recommendation sharing, just what you just said. Talking about, you wanted to do this subject. Well, here's a person we talked to that was really cool. And I love that no one is really gatekeeping information because I don't think that really benefits any of us who work in HVAC. So the fact that you guys have not only built this strong platform and foundation for this media communication outlet, but you've also done so together, and you continue to do it together. I see you guys hop on each other's podcast all the time too, so that's really nice.
Yeah, we have fun. I mean, it really is. It's wild how much it's grown, but like you said, it's kind of the giver's gain type thing. The more we give, the more we get.
Yeah.
And so it's really been cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it has grown a ton. And if you live on social media, it probably feels like everyone's got podcasts at this point.
Believe me, I can't.
But it's not. I mean, we're in a bubble.
Yeah.
Outside of that bubble, there's so many people that don't get this information, and the people that need it, the ones that are running their business but don't have time to attend an event like this and see how large this industry is, they can get that information day over day over day. I mean, we've had people reach out to us who literally, whether it's our show or other shows, they listen to it every day in their truck.
Yeah.
And they have grown tremendously.
They are a serious glutton for punishment.
No, but it's so true. And even in my own career, I trained to do marketing. That's my vocation. You pick up what feels like just one tiny bit of information, but it can literally change an entire strategy.
Oh, yeah.
That you're doing, and just open up an entire new world that you weren't in that mindset.
It just changes the way you thought about something, which triggers something else. So you start looking down a different
The domino effect. Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of stuff, like when the way him and I met was actually through local Facebook groups, because before
they said the Facebook word.
because when local Facebook groups came out, that was like best
the forum. Absolutely,
information. It was like
a very valid platform. A lot of forum sharing.
There's bad
information, but
but everywhere.
That's where we met, through some different coaching groups and stuff like that, and then obviously it's turned into this, and so now people that have learned through that can continue to give those lessons to people who don't have it. There are people that don't have Facebook accounts, but we're not.
Yeah, I know.
But it's great to be able to.
There's some people who don't check their Facebook account.
That's you.
For months.
No, I have to tell them what to.
Is that not surprising?
I have to tell my team what to post for them. So.
Yeah. It's true.
Very good. Well, at least you've learned his card number.
Oh, we know.
We know for it.
Yes. Awesome. So
teamwork.
You mentioned something about the bandwidth of like this industry and how big it is, and just how the career pivots. And that's something that's so interesting to me, because we went to the HVAC Tactical Awards last night, where him and I don't know anything that goes on Instagram, and like almost all of these people have grown a huge following on.
He doesn't do anything on Instagram.
No, I don't.
Or TikTok.
I don't. He sends me TikToks all the time, knowing I won't look at them. But it's wild, because there's so many ways to get that message out, and especially the younger generation coming up. I don't know how many podcasts we've done on the worker shortage and tech shortage and all of that stuff, and the way of getting it out is those short videos, that short form content where people are seeing this is actually cool. It's fun. It's a great career. You can make a really great living, and you can do something with your life.
And I can do that. And it just, I think the generations that are coming in, have far moved beyond the clock in, clock out mentality with a career.
Yeah.
The fulfillment aspect, and you want to make an impact, and you want to be able to become an expert, hone your craft. I think that having an inside look through a platform like Instagram, or listening to a podcast and seeing people who are blazing their own paths. They're like, you know what, I'm not going to settle for just everyday mundane.
Yep.
I'm not going to settle for status quo. Like, I'm really going to effort. I'm going to be the best at, maybe it's one specific thing that you do, or maybe it's, your jack of all trades with what you do in the industry, but showing people that side, and showing people that if you work hard, if you dedicate, if you grow your network, which is super important, you can do that, and you can really find fulfillment, and you can make an impact. Our industry as a whole touches every single life on the planet every single day. And that message is so convoluted with, the day-to-day, with putting through work order or invoicing or do all the things that have to happen. But if you can zoom out and you can really see the role that we play collectively, and what happens when the things that we do collectively aren't working the way they're supposed to. I think that shows pockets of opportunity for people to pull out a passion. And I think we saw it last night with all the people that showed up. I was also at the HVAC Tactical Awards, and I think, everyone there was excited to not only be there, but they're excited about their industry.
Yeah.
And they're championing each other, even though sometimes they very well could be in competition. They do similar things.
Yeah.
But that's just not the vibe.
You can see that they've all made connections with people that they would have never connected with previously.
And now they have a network where, you're on a job and you're stumped on something and you can pick up the phone, you can call 10 different people and say, you know what? Here's a troubleshooting thing. I'm stumped. I don't know what to do. And you're not going to be met with, someone telling you that you're not capable or you shouldn't be in this field. They're just going to say, okay, well, here's something that could be a good resource, or I've done this job before, or here's another person I can route you to.
Unless they call me. Click, you're an idiot. Goodbye.
No, no, that's me calling him every day. Being like, I just bought this GoPro.
I have a question about this.
I use it. Actually, could you just tell me which one to buy? Which he did, by the way. He did. I asked him.
He has like a whole list. He tells he'll send stuff to my house. So it's like, hey, you need this camera.
Well, I bought a very fancy camera, and I'm happy to report it's going well.
Yeah, good. That's good.
Your recommendation still holds weight.
Yes, it's valid. You can take his recommendation.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
I will say, like, just the way this has grown, because I think my first AHR was 2021, I believe.
No.
2022. 2022. Yeah, we skipped that one.
Vegas.
What was it?
You were in Vegas? 22.
22.
We don't talk about 2021.
So 22, and in some of that, there was a lot of open spots. We had a lot of podcast spots, but in the years that have followed, it's great because you have so much different content from different people with a different spin or a different audience.
We try to fill in the area. So, one of the things that I do with my job is I go out and I look for what's trending, what are people talking about, what should we be talking about. I mean, we don't want to just talk about the things that you're already talking about. We want to drop things on your radar that you should be thinking about. Maybe you haven't thought about it yet. Maybe it hasn't touched your corner of the industry, but we know the trickle down's coming. It always does. And if we don't have that representation already in our education programming, in our podcast pavilion, in our new products theaters, wherever, I try to go out and source people that can come in and talk about it, because we want to open up that chain of learning and give people an opportunity to bring that information to the masses.
Yep. Awesome. Well, I just got a black licorice. Well, that's terrible jelly bean. Why they put a black?
I'll have those removed next year. Actually, one of the things that Rich from the HVAC Jerks asked me for way back when I first met him, when I said, do you have any requests for the press room? And he said jelly beans. And this year I delivered the jelly beans. So hopefully I get some praise from that.
Sure.
I said all of them. The pink, no, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Pink, I asked for pink Starburst.
They're in there.
They are.
They're in there.
Dig through the yellow ones. The nasty yellow ones.
My kids like.
They got bags now with just the pink Starburst.
No good.
I got them.
No, don't.
She literally she loves the pink ones.
Yeah, he's like, where are you, man?
Duh. Nicole, if you are in you're coming next year, or you're coming tomorrow to AHR.
Yeah.
What's the must-do thing?
Oh boy, I would say before you come, you should prep for your trip here. So that means downloading the app, number one. If you don't want to put that on your phone, you can go on the website, get on your map your show. Just look at the floor plan. Look at the exhibitors that are here.
It's massive.
It's massive. Look at the equipment that's going to be on the floor. They all tag it. There's preview information there. Because when you actually get here, number one, I don't know what happens to the clock, but it speeds up.
Yes.
Pretty
so
quickly.
bad.
We talked about that at lunch.
Time gets away from you. But also, too, it's massive. And, you start walking and it's like, shiny thing here, shiny thing there. And before you know it, you don't really have time to do the things that you thought you were going to be able to do. And, there's so much value to find here. So I always say, best thing you can do is just plan ahead. It takes a little bit of time, but give yourself 10 minutes. Peruse around the website. We have so much information that I've personally and my team worked really hard to put on there.
Yep.
So I would appreciate if you take advantage of it. But there, we try to make it as easy as possible, because just like we're looking to erase barriers for entry into industry, we want to erase the barriers for you guys to make sure that when you're here, we're maximizing your time. We understand that your time is valuable. That's not lost on us by any means. We want to make sure that you can execute and, grow in the ways that you want to, and that our show can deliver on the things that you need to build your own professional and presence in the industry.
And bring comfortable shoes.
Definitely the shoes. I actually have already changed today, but this is coming from Tersh, by the way. And unfortunately, if you're listening only and you haven't had the pleasure, you can't see his shoes. but I can guarantee they're not comfortable.
I
don't think your feet are like normal people's feet.
Well, they weren't a couple months ago.
No, I was with Nancy. I did that. We did that ruck together.
That's right. He wasn't know that. No, you told me he was there. He's crazier than I am.
He's crazy.
Well, I know Pete's crazy.
No, Tertia's feet should not be used as the scale to judge your own comfort.
Nicole, thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you. We appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. If anybody has any questions, ServiceBusinessMastery.com. That's our go-to place. And yeah, I appreciate everything that AHR has done for us and our career. You've made it. You've helped make it.
I was so proud last night to see them accept this award, guys. I was crying. I'm like,
yeah. Well, I hope you have a wonderful, safe day. And Nicole, I'll see you in a little bit. But yeah, I appreciate everybody hanging out with us.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a great show.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Service Business Mastery. Now that you are equipped with essential business advice from this impactful conversation, you are one step closer to becoming the successful owner of your dreams. If this episode has been helpful to your business journey, don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and share it with other owners as well. Visit ServiceBusinessMastery.com to learn more.